Hello, this is Jorge Olson once again for Beverage Analysis, information for entrepreneurs, investors, and beverage industry analysts on Wall Street. Today we're going to talk about two things, Coca-Cola and how they're making Diet Coke cool again for millennials, what the market share is for sodas in the US, and why Coca-Cola is pushing with new campaigns and buying new companies. Coca-Cola CEO announced, and I quote, "We're making Diet Coke cool again, and here's how we're doing it." Now, I live in San Diego, California, and I just saw commercials for Diet Coke with a new can, and I saw them at the movies. So I went to the movies and I saw a Diet Coke commercial that was completely different. It has millennials, it had a different can, and it was talking about you have to do your own thing, and you can now drink Diet Coke. They're positioning Diet Coke as if it was a brand new drink, and I thought it was odd. I made the observation and I just took a mental note. And Marta today gave me the press release, and I thought it would be great to talk about it since I saw it in the movies. They're doing a pilot program, and I know they're using San Diego because I'm here and I saw the commercials. What's happening with Coca-Cola? Why are they pushing Diet Coke in a new can as a new drink to a new market? Well, that's simple. Sodas and sugary drinks as a whole are now seen as unhealthy. Before, the push for healthy drinks was not really there. Now, the push for healthy drinks is big. We could say, or we could blame, or reward, or give credit to the X generation for this. The X generation is adopting a position of health with food and beverages, and they're teaching millennials or their kids not to drink soda, not to drink juice, to drink water, or to drink alternative drinks. Water, of course, is the new alternative drink, but you also see vitamin water, you see teas, you see other functional drinks that are very popular now. And sodas are dropping. Sodas have now a negative growth. I believe the negative growth for sodas is -2%, and that's been steady for the last few years, where functional drinks are growing steadily the other direction, up. What are the what are the big companies doing, including Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and the other giants? They're adapting by investing and buying these companies. So they will not lose market share in the long run because they're buying the companies that are winning the market share. So if you're an analyst, when I get calls from analysts from the large firms, large investment firms or portfolio managers, they're always worried about whatever stock they're following from whatever company losing market share, how they're going to lose more market share, or how they could lose market share specifically to startups. What are the threats? And what are the threats coming specifically from functional drinks starting up? And I always tell them the same thing. Number one, it's very difficult to gain market share in the retail space, in dry space and refrigerator, because these large companies from Nestle to Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, etc., they own the space. It's very difficult to take space away from them. Now, the new startups that are growing, maybe they're making their way up through the natural channel. Either they're getting investment from these companies or they will be acquired from these companies, and then they will be put through the red trucks or the large distribution network that these large companies have. So they're not really a threat. On the contrary, they will help grow these companies. If you're an entrepreneur, though, the recommendation is start companies that can be acquired by these other large companies. Yes, right now you cannot compete with them. Don't try to compete with them. I always say the same thing. If you're an entrepreneur, and I get, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 calls per week from entrepreneurs, and they all want to be in 7-Eleven. They all want to be in Kroger. They all want to be in the large chains, Walgreens, CVS, or on-premise. And I tell them the same thing. Why do you want to compete with companies that have billions of dollars in market caps? They represent trillions of dollars in market cap in one refrigerator. It's very difficult to compete. It's very difficult to get your product into one store, let alone a chain. Use alternative means of distribution, of sales, to get some market share. And then these companies that threaten you, these companies that cannot allow you to get into the stores, will fund you, and maybe they will buy you. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking of starting a product or a beverage or something interesting to the beverage industry, do it that way. Do it by positioning a company that either now or in the future plays into the acquisition game with Coca-Cola, with Pepsi-Cola, with Dr. Pepper Snapple, a large distributor, a holding company that has a portfolio of beverages, etc. That's the message for entrepreneurs. That's the message, the other message for analysts and for investors. If you're a small investor, invest in these alternative companies that can be acquired. If you're meeting an investor, ask them, what's your end game? I mean, if you're meeting an entrepreneur, if you're an investor meeting an entrepreneur, ask them what their end game is. How will they position themselves for an acquisition? What do they need? How they will get from the natural channel or the direct sales channel into the mainstream. All of those are questions, reasonable questions to ask entrepreneurs. Again, my name is Jorge Olson. I am a beverage analyst, coach, and consultant. I work with entrepreneurs. I work with large companies, with publicly traded companies, and I also work with investors and analysts in the beverage industry and consumer packaged goods. You can get my book, Build Your Beverage Empire, now in second edition on Amazon as Kindle, paperback, or hardcover. Bye from Jorge Olson in San Diego, California. See you next time.